Are you ready? 3, 2,
let's go.
1, let's go.
You know, when that shift thing happens, and I'm not saying, all the world goes nuts and everything. It just could be in your neighborhood. It could be in your city. It could just part of the state, Could be a natural disaster type thing, but when it does get bad, that shift thing that, preppers always talk about and preach about and say that happens every other week. But when it does happen, you already know you won't have many friends left. You most likely be on your own. You would like to think that you have this community all set up and everything, but more than likely you'll be on your own. Don't imagine you'll be able to count on your neighbors or other people will come to your aid. Even less so, you won't be able to count on FEMA. Yeah, we've all heard the stories about that. No matter how many times they tell you FEMA is here to help, the system isn't built with your well-being in mind. Think about that. It's already built otherwise. Lately, more and more signs indicate that the agency isn't doing too well. In fact, many say that FEMA might be going on the chopping block very soon. So what's that mean? At first, that sounds like a win. But it could be a trigger to a wave of new threats you're not even ready for. Exactly. Good question. What is FEMA about to be replaced by? What do you think would be replacing FEMA? It's true that FEMA never really had your back in the first place. However, we have to admit that its presence kept worse things at bay. Something to think about. FEMA comes rolling in and hands out some checks. If you can get to the checks, they hand out little care packages and stuff, and we're here to help you. But if it disappears, you'll be facing threats you haven't even imagined yet. To understand what really you need to prepare for is post-FEMA world. And here are some of the things that you may want to look for, or the consequences of said this. The states would take over. There won't be no government aid coming. It'll be the state that tells you what you can do, if you can keep the stuff that you have, things like that. Orders will come from the leaders that you trust or maybe not trust. Come here, get up here already instead of blabbing for 15 minutes. There we go. Okay. Or on the other hand, local control might cost you more than in taxes, more in your freedoms, if you know what I'm talking about, or leave you with fewer services when you need them. Number 2, government overreach would skyrocket. That's the other one that might replace the Fema. I'll call it the Fema. The evil you know is better than the one you don't know. Isn't that the saying? The evil you know is better than the one you don't. FEMA may be bad, but if it's replaced by another tough militarized agency operated under emergency powers, which would be worse? Imagine even more surveillance, faster crackdowns, harsh penalties. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but can you afford to bet against it? Can you afford that? They can come in, take your stuff. Oh, we need it for this. You can't do nothing about it. Number 3, the unprepared will panic faster. That's a given. That's a given right there. How many Americans are ready for a major crisis? And I'm not saying, civil unrest or, civil war or any of those things, or, invasions from other places. No, I'm not talking about aliens. But millions could be counting on FEMA to show up and save them when a shift happens. If that little safety net vanishes overnight, they'll be lost and confused, and what do we do? Looking for answers type of thing. Your home could be their target when something bad happens, a shift happens, or, anything. Even if only one of these threats come true, you'll already be in serious trouble. Think about it. FEMA goes away and these 3 things happen. One of these 3 things happen. That's something to think about. What happens if a state takes over? Just your state. Are you confident about who runs your state, that you think you would be safe? I know there are some in some states that would be very worried about who runs their states and if they would be safe during this. Talk about your state controlling the prices of things, gas, food, can't forget the toilet paper, just think about before COVID happened, buying a pack of toilet paper. Now look at toilet paper is so high and the price won't go down. Once it goes up, price doesn't come down. It may wilter a little bit, but it will never go back to where it was. Never. And these are the things that drive up prices. Look at the egg situation. They say it's bird flu this, bird flu that, whatever. I remember buying eggs for 99 cents before the bird thing happened and COVID and all that. Do we trust our states enough? Not alone the government. Do you trust your states? The people who are running the state or your local areas? Just what are the beliefs of your local sheriff? What is the beliefs of your mayor and stuff like that? That's something to think about. If they take over telling you what you can and cannot do, ooh, And again, when something bad happens, it's all about food, water, and medical supplies. Now, those who are not prepared and not getting anything from FEMA, and the state cuts you off, what happens to people who have been preparing? And those who don't will want to take those things. Or even the state will come in and take what they want to help the mass, you know, leaving you with barely anything to protect your families. And I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Yeah, toward the end of the video here. Learn to grow your own food. Learn to preserve your own food. Because most of us can't grow food, you know, all year round. They can grow a little bit in their house and a little bit of herbs there and whatnot. But that's not enough to feed your family. So you need to not alone learn to grow your food, but preserve that food. I doubled the amount of tomatoes so I could preserve spaghetti sauce, barbecue sauce, salsa, you know, all that kind of stuff, so I'll have an extra amount of that stuff that I don't have to buy because it's so expensive right now. If you break down the cost per growing, per, you know, can of spaghetti sauce or a jar, whatever you buy at the store, count that for a year. How many jars? Cut it down to use 1 jar of spaghetti sauce a week. Multiply that by 4. Multiply that by 12. Now, how much is it going to cost you to grow a tomato plant? If you've already have the seeds and you already have everything, your soil already ready to go and everything, you're looking at hardly any money. Just time and patience and work in the compost, so you'll have that compost to go into that dirt to replenish that dirt every year. And if you get down to it, you can get away with not putting any money into that garden at all. You can harvest seeds from your plants at the end of the year, so you'll have more and more seeds. You can make compost so you can replenish the soil that you used the year before. A lot of stuff can be repurposed. You can, instead of leaving buckets out over the whole year, empty them, bring them, wash them up, put them in somewhere that's away from the sun. They'll last longer. Same thing with the grow bags and stuff. If you leave the soil in there, they'll deteriorate faster. There's little things you can do. This is what we have to think about. Again, I want you to sit there and think about, because chances are FEMA's going. It's on the chopping block right now. So, what will replace that? Overreach of the government? Overreach of the state? And again, some states will say, oh, I'm good with that. But there's a lot of states that you don't want them controlling your food, your protection, your water supply. So think about that. And again, grow your own food. God bless.